Hi guys, as you know I am terrified of anything to do with flour. I mean, it is ridiculous and I don't have a good reason for it, or maybe it's just because I'm not very good at it. So I've asked Liezl Vermeulen, who's the food editor of Fresh Living magazine and my friend, to kind of get my slot for Just Cook at Home today because, well, she's better than I am. Enjoy.
Hi everyone, it's Liezl here. I'm making some flatbreads for you today. Super quick, easy, only 4 ingredients. So let's get right into it and I'll show you how to make these easy guys. So over here I already have 300 grams or 2 cups of flour. To this I am going to add some salt, generous pinch of salt, then 2 tablespoons, 30 mils of olive oil, or you can use butter if you prefer. That's also fine. And then the secret ingredient here that's making it a 4 ingredient flatbread, no fuss, is yogurt. So let me get that. I've got to take that out. So to this 300 grams of flour, we are going to add only half a cup of plain yogurt. You can use double cream, low fat, whatever you have in your home. We're making a little well in the center of the flour and putting all the wet ingredients right in the middle. So let's put that aside. And then from here, let's use our spoon. We're going to mix it. Just simply stir it and let it all come together over here. And then as soon as you're brave enough to put your hands in there, you're going to have to get your hands a little bit dirty for this one. But don't worry, it's not like you need a Kenwood mixer or anything like that. It's still super easy. So let's go in there. That side. Roll up your sleeves. And then we are going to just knead it a little bit in here until the dough comes together, forming a little ball. Here we go. To this you can of course now add some chopped herbs, parsley or coriander works well as well. Something like a little bit of smoked paprika or even some sesame seeds, anything like that. You can spruce it up depending on if it's just a weeknight meal or if you're having guests and you want to impress and throw something in extra to jolly it along. Okay, great. So now we formed a little ball and we're going to go on the surface. You might need a little bit of extra flour this time. If it's difficult to knead, a little bit of flour will help it along. It's probably sticking a little bit to the surface if you're struggling to knead it. Cool, so let's clean that a bit there. So the technique I'm using, and I mean it's a technique, but really you can't do anything wrong at this stage. It's just to put your palm flat, push it forward, and then you're going to bring the dough in. And you keep on doing that. You're probably going to need for around 3 to 4 minutes. It should just come together nicely. It'll be a little bit smoother at the moment. If you can look there, it's still a little bit rough. So we want to get it nice and smooth. So this flatbread goes brilliantly with curry. We are serving it with some vegetable curry this evening, but it'll also go well with some soup or some stew or anything like that. Anything really that works in this winter weather that's simmering on the stove top. Okay, so it's coming together quite nicely, but luckily for you, you don't have to sit and watch that whole thing. I'm going to put this one aside and take out the one that I have made in advance for you. So there you go, a nice little bolletjie. It's already nice and smooth. It could probably go for another minute or 2. I'm going to put this here and I'll make that batch a bit later. Just clean my hands here. Now the one I have already done in advance, I've just wrapped it in plastic wrap. Now don't worry, you don't have to let this proof. It doesn't have yeast or anything like that in there. So it doesn't have to stand in a warm area or anything like that. Nobody's got time for that when you're making a weeknight dinner. So the only reason why I've wrapped this up is you want to let the dough rest a little bit. So from this stage where I've kneaded it until now, if it can sit aside for like 15 minutes at least, if you have time, half an hour or an hour. So guys, this is how it kind of looks in the end. It's nice and smooth, and obviously it's rested. If the dough is rested, it means that I can stretch it like this without it jumping back too much. Awesome. Okay, cool. So now we're on a roll. I'm going to switch on my nice heavy bottom pan. It's like a cast iron one, or a non-stick pan rather. Your piece of dough that you have here, let's cut this up. So I'm thinking we can make about 6 here. Okay, if you can cut it into even pieces, even better. I didn't manage that right now, but hey, I'm recording something, so it's a bit different. So I'm making all the pieces into a little ball first, and then just using the palm of my hand, I'll kind of stretch it out like this. So it's a bit of a process. You can of course also use a rolling pin. Maybe I should do that at this point. The previous one I tested was a little bit more loose, but I think with the heat now, with it being so cold, if we can have a rolling pin. Okay, here we go. And dust with a little bit of flour. Go. That there. So if there's kids, I'm sure they'll love this part too. You just want to roll it out nice and flat. It is a flatbread after all. But really, it doesn't have to have a specific shape. The more rustic, the more authentic it'll look, and you'll fool everybody into thinking you've been making this for years. So just pull it out nice and thin. There we go. You see? And this goes into, the pan is nice and hot, into the dry pan. And we're going to leave it there for a moment. Let's make another one in the meantime. So for the pan, you can add some oil. It'll give it a nice golden color. But personally, I just like to let it do its own thing there. And then when I take it out of the pan, I will brush it with some nice butter. It can just be some plain melted butter, or you can do a little bit of garlic. Cool, so you'll see it might be looking a little bit bleak here. So at this point, after you've flipped it, that's when I'd add the butter. If you add the butter too soon, it's going to start burning in the pan. So let's do that now. And you'll see it brings just a little bit of life back into them. This is also, it's not necessary, but it's a nice to have, a nice to do. There you go. I've melted some butter and I've added some chopped coriander. Can always season it a bit as well, but I mean there is salt in the mixture, so that goes a long way already. Alright, give it a few more seconds and then we're ready to go, ready to serve. That's my super easy 4-ingredient yogurt flatbreads with any weeknight curry.
Bless her. She made that look bloody easy, for which I'm most grateful. Thanks, Liezl. Enjoy.